Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Siheyuan. A Centenary Family, breaking the legs of Banggeng, Xiao Anshan traveled through the 1940s, awakened to the family check.in system. As long as the family is more prosperous, the rewards will be more abundant. So Xiao Anshan silently married his wife and gave birth to 9 children, each one being a dragon and a phoenix. With 30 years passing, the entire Xiao family's population has reached dozens. In order to take better care of Xiao'an Mountain, a few children even directly took over the entire quadrangle courtyard for family relocation, and across from them were the few livestock full of poultry in the quadrangle courtyard. At the beginning, it was just a joke to steal things, and how dare you take the old man's medal? What do you say? There are 9 sons at home, don't just kill him. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Home with 9 sons, moving into a courtyard at the beginning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Home has 9 sons, move into a courtyard at the beginning. In the 1960s, Beijing. The autumn wind rustles. In the city of 49, outside the courtyard opposite the courtyard, which is full of birds, it has become lively today. I saw many workers carrying things, gradually gathering at the door. That's it, come and go, put things here. Hey, put it away gently, don't bump it, otherwise we won't be able to afford it even if we lose everything. Slow down, slow down. The sound after sound attracted many onlookers around. Wow! Who owns these things? So many. This courtyard seems to have been vacant recently, it seems like a new resident is coming. Who are the new residents? With so many things, there should be many people, right? The masses were all discussing with curious eyes. Birds fill the entrance of the courtyard, Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, and Grandpa 3 appeared at the same time. Behind them, 3 aunties, Jia Zhang, Qin Widow, Su Damao, and others all walked out. Oh! What's going on today? Someone from the opposite yard. Why did those workers move so much stuff? Are these things for us? They don't look like it either. Everyone was discussing and feeling quite surprised. Jia Zhang and Qin Widow's eyes were even more straight and shining. At this point, Third Lord Yan Bugui looked at First Lord and asked, "What are you doing?" Yi Zhonghai frowned and said, "Last time I heard from the street office that someone will move over during this period, but it happens to be across from us." Glancing at the crowd, with a puzzled expression on his face, he continued, "It seems like it's a big family that directly covers the entire courtyard house. However, I heard that people from this family come from the countryside." When everyone heard this, their minds were buzzing. Sleeping slot. Is the entire quadrangle a family? So exaggerated. Yi Zhonghai, you're not mistaken, are you? A person who owns the entire quadrangle family can be from the countryside. Grandpa Yan Bugui looked surprised. Yeah, the things that the workers across the street are carrying, big and small, some of which are even wrapped in cloth. It's not easy at first glance. Besides, where did such a big family come from in the countryside? Why haven't I ever heard of it? Isn't that right? The master hasn't come yet, and I really want to see which family it is from. Everyone agreed, feeling surprised and puzzled. And among them, Jia Zhang's envious eyes turned red as she gritted her teeth and said, "Rural people deserve to live such a good life in their childhood. God doesn't have eyes. Why do we have those people move across from us and bring them to our courtyard so that we can also help our Jia family?" Next, her eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. They can have so much, and the conditions must be very good. If they can help our Jia family, wouldn't that be much stronger than the entire courtyard? Damn it, damn it. Listening to Jia Zhang's cursing, the rest of the crowd frowned, what kind of nerve does this shameless old lady have? You Jia family really take everything for granted, right? And even compared the entire hospital to others. Are you so righteous and confident? Grandpa Yi's face turned black and he turned around with a cold snort, walking back into the yard. Second grandpa, third grandpa didn't stop much and walked towards the courtyard. The master hasn't come yet, and it doesn't look interesting. He left. The things have all been moved over, and the people are probably coming too, right? So what if you come? It's not related to us. The rest of the crowd murmured a few words, but didn't stop too long. They turned around and went back to their respective homes. Jia Zhang stared at the things brought by the workers across from him, stomping his feet in anger and cursing in his mouth. Qin Huiru's eyes widened, thinking to herself, who exactly is the owner of that family? It's really like what Grandpa Yi said before, if it's a big family will anyone take a liking to themselves? Meanwhile, outside the city of 49. A man in his 50s is slowly moving towards the 49 cities surrounded by a group of children and descendants. Dad, you said it's better for us to take a car, but you insist on walking. The sturdy middle-aged man next to the old man smiled bitterly and spoke. The other two younger men nodded in agreement. Yeah, Dad, Big Brother is right. You're getting older and it's much more convenient to take a car. We are currently about 20 minutes walk away from that courtyard. They agreed, their faces filled with helplessness. Upon hearing this, Xiao Anshan stared and said, by the way, I'm getting older and I don't think I can move my muscles and bones. Besides, I don't want to come yet, but you insist on letting me come. Why can't I take care of myself alone? With just my body, I'm more than enough to hit you three little brats. The sons of three elderly people. They shrank their necks and looked at Xiao Anshan, with even more helplessness on their faces. Finally, oh my, Dad, don't be angry, said the muscular man before, if you don't come, then our plan to take care of you will fall through, won't it? You've worked hard enough for us all your life, now it's our turn to take care of you. The other two men quickly nodded and said, yes, yes, Big Brother is right. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. What about this rural area? What kind of big family is this? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. What about this rural area? What kind of big family is this? Xiao Anshan sighed in his heart as he listened to his sons. Actually he is a traveler. I have traveled here over 30 years ago. In that era of constant warfare, he was relatively lucky and unexpectedly awakened a family check that IN system. Under the influence of the system, Xiao Anshan helped the Zhozhou anti-Japanese war in his early days and has been silently dedicating himself, making countless military achievements. During this period, he met the wife of a gentle and virtuous healing team and gave birth to 9 sons for himself. Just that my spouse passed away shortly after giving birth to her 9th son. All of my own sons have been on the battlefield. However, my sons are all very energetic. 2 were killed in action, the remaining 7 survived. The eldest Xiao Zhong, in order to take better care of himself and his grandchildren, never went out and stayed with him, becoming an ordinary worker. The second son Xiao Xiao has been fighting outside before, but now he stays in the army and has become a small cadre. He has not yet returned from outside. Third Xiao Li, fourth Xiao Yi in the same part, in order to cover the retreat of the troops, both were killed and sacrificed for the country. Good job. Old Wu Xiao Wei became a special forces officer in another unit. Old Lu Xiaomin became a chef. Lao Qi Xiao Jian is now the director of a hospital. Old Ba Xiao Jun, on the other hand, went into business and established his own construction company. Old Jiu Xiaoping became a researcher and has won many research awards. Loyalty and filial piety, propriety and righteousness, defending the people, building the army. The first 8 sons took one character in sequence. When the 9th child was born, it symbolized peace and the word peace was chosen. Very good, very good. Every time Xiao Anshan thinks of these things, he still feels emotional. Except for the 2 sons who have already died in battle and the 9th son, all other sons have a family. After another round of branching and scattering, the number of people in the Xiao family is almost 30. Now that the war has come to an end, in order to take better care of themselves, these children decided to take over themselves after discussion. This time coming over, it was accompanied by the eldest Xiao Zhong, the 6th Xiao Min, and the 7th Xiao Jian. As for the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 9th, they originally wanted to stop their work at hand and come over. Xiao Anshan disagreed and did not let them come back. These sons are very afraid of themselves, only obedient and obedient. Xiao Zhong saw that Laozi's face was somewhat unnatural and sighed, "Dad, they all wanted to come back. You must not let them come back." The family finally reunited. "You don't need to do this, do you?" Old 6 and Old 7 nodded repeatedly when they heard Big Brother talking. On weekdays, the old man occasionally listens to what the big brother says. "I can't even listen to their small talk." Upon hearing this, Xiao Anshan looked at the 3 sons in front of him and glared again. "You guys understand shit. How can they travel around with their current identities? If they have a job, they should do it well. What's the point of running back?" Okay, I'm too lazy to tell you." Next, he picked up his granddaughter Xiao Xian, who was 4 or 5 years old next to him, and Xiao Jiao, who was about the same size, and scraped his nose with a smile, saying, "Oh, Xian and Jiao Jiao are both so old. Is it okay for Grandpa to hug them?" Xian, who appeared cute and lively, giggled with Jiao Jiao in a milky voice and said, "Grandpa, hold on." As soon as you speak, Xiao Anshan suddenly smiled. "I can be said to have a family full of descendants now. It's great to have 3 generations living together. Perhaps in a few more years, 4 generations can live together. There are quite a few grandsons, and only 2 granddaughters." Regarding this, Xiao Anshan loves both granddaughters very much. Seeing this, Xiao Zhong's son and Xiao Min's son, Xiao Jian's son, "Grandpa, you're biased. I also want to hug." Upon hearing the words of his grandchildren, Xiao Anshan said angrily, "You little ones, how old are you? Do you still want to hug them? Go. Xiao Zhong and Xiao Min, Xiao Jian saw this and his face was filled with a bitter smile. The old man's temperament is still so tough. "I am very serious about my own younger generation." A smile often appears on the face of grandchildren. Especially for my 2 granddaughters, I spoil them to the point of being spoiled. However, they have no objection to this and are actually quite happy. The family walked a distance. Boss Xiao Zhong patted his forehead and quickly spoke up, "By the way, Dad, you just arrived in the capital. The Engineering Institute has already arranged a restaurant for you to have a meal. I want to see you once." "Engineering Institute," murmured Xiao Anshan. Xiao Zhong smiled and explained, "Dad, it's the senior Li Jingtao you mentioned to us before, your student. He informed me before. If we go from here, it's not far either, it's a 10-minute journey." Xiao Anshan listened to his eldest son's words and remembered, "Oh. Xiao Li." Next, he stared and said, "You stinky kid, why didn't you just say it earlier?" Xiao Zhong smiled bitterly and said, "Dad, don't be angry about my problem. So let's go over now." Xiao Anshan nodded and then put down his 2 granddaughters. Xiao Zhong smiled when he heard these words. He looked at his son, who was around 10 years old, and his son, who was also about the age of 6 and 7, and said, "How are you and Xiao Ming, Xiao Lei, take your 2 sisters over and tidy up the yard that I showed you. It's not far ahead. Your grandfather and uncle are going to do something." Xiao Hao nodded and said seriously, "Okay." Dad, Uncle 6 and Uncle 7, why don't you go with Grandpa? After speaking, let's go, he waved with a leading demeanor. Seeing a few little guys leave, Xiao Anshan smiled and then went to the bureau with his son Xiao Zhong and the others Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Qin Man's Courtyard Startled, Too Rich. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Qin Man's Courtyard is stunned, it's too rich. Arriving at the restaurant, Xiao Anshan saw an old man standing outside the restaurant at a glance. It's my own student, Li Jingtao. He smiled and sighed, indeed, time never forgives. Upon hearing this, Xiao Zhong smiled and said, Dad, Uncle Li is currently serving as the director of the Engineering Institute. Before you came to the capital, he came to me and asked me to bring you over to meet him. Xiao Anshan was delighted to hear his eldest son's words and walked towards the restaurant. And at this point, Li Jingtao at the entrance of the restaurant also noticed Xiao Anshan and Xiao Zhong walking by. Seeing the situation, he showed an indescribable excitement on his face and quickly ran over, saying, Teacher. After many years, I finally see you again. Over the years. Have you been doing well, teacher? Upon hearing that you were coming to the capital, I immediately contacted Xiao Zhong and wanted to meet you once. Li Jingtao came up to ask for warmth and comfort, and as he spoke, tears welled up in his eyes, almost running down his nose. Xiao Anshan looked at his old friend in front of him with a sigh, and then joked, All right, I just taught you some engineering skills back then. You are now the director of the Engineering Institute, don't call me teacher, just call me by my name. Also, your appearance makes others laugh even when they see you. And you see me like this. Doesn't it seem good? Next, he pointed to the 3 sons next to him and said, It's not a problem for me to hit all 3 of them now. If it weren't for a few stinky kids at home insisting on bringing me over, I wouldn't have wanted to come yet. Xiao Zhong's 3 brothers. The old man is really talking about this, isn't he? Upon hearing this, Li Jingtao was pleased to wipe away the tears from the corners of his eyes and excitedly shook Xiao Anshan's hand, saying, Brother Xiao, no matter what, I finally see you again. I feel relieved when I see you. And the director of my engineering institute is just like that. If it weren't for your help back then, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. Next, he pulled Xiao Anshan towards the restaurant and said, Brother Xiao, let's sit down and have a good chat. The group entered the restaurant. As a result, the restaurant was empty. After sitting down, Xiao Anshan glared angrily at Li Jingtao. This guy has good family conditions. He used to treat himself to food every now and then. Thief luxury. This is not about showing off wealth, but only by treating oneself specifically. Not long after, the dishes are here. A table of people began to eat. During this period, a lot of dishes were served. Xiao Anshan is no longer willing. Good guy. Li Jingtao ordered a lot of meat and vegetables alone. In this era, pork costs over 60 cents per kilogram, eggs cost 5 cents per kilogram, flour costs a few cents per kilogram, but just this meal, it can be equivalent to the quantity of many people for a year or even several years. Not everyone can't afford meat, but everyone is living frugally and not so extravagant. Usually, it's steamed buns and vegetables. If someone else sees this table, will you definitely say that days are numbered? Waste, and so on. On the other side, Xiao Hao, Xiao Ming, and Xiao Lei, the grandsons of Xiao Anshan, came to the courtyard with their 2 granddaughters. As soon as they arrive, he turned his gaze to a pile of items outside the door. A worker guarding the door only left when he saw someone coming. Xiao Hao, who was around 10 years old, looked at the items outside the yard and said to his 2 younger brothers behind him, Amin, Ale, you 2 come with me to move things. Xian, Jiao, please don't run around. Next, perhaps due to family ties and strong mobility, the three little ones began to move around. Brother, Jiao and I will help you get it. Xian and Jiao, who were only 4 or 5 years old, saw their brothers working hard and helped them pick up some smaller items to join the operation. Meanwhile, Zhang and Huairu, who were guarding the entrance of the courtyard, saw Xiao Anshan's grandson and granddaughter moving things at the opposite entrance, and their eyes were fixed. Such a white and pure child. Just a glance, you can see that the family who moved to the opposite courtyard is not simple. The jealousy in Zhang's eyes was about to burst out. Those little brats are white and chubby, even stronger than the stick stem. If only those two little girls' clothes could be worn by Huaihua and Xiaodang. Damn it. Why didn't such a big family move to our place? This way, it can also help our Jia family. Those guys in the courtyard are not enough for our Jia family to live on, a bunch of useless things. Qin Huairu frowned inexplicably as she listened to her mother-in-law's words. This foolish mother-in-law is not only malicious, calling others a white-eyed wolf, but in fact, she is the one who is that white-eyed wolf herself. If it weren't for the child, I wouldn't know how many times I would argue with her. There's no beep at all. I am completely lacking in self-awareness and will not show it at all. Let silly Zhu and an old man obediently assist him, with free meal tickets. Qin Huairu let out a forced sigh and said, Mom, you can't say that. At least everyone will still help our Jia family. What if you hear us say that? Zhang was furious and scolded angrily, you shut up. What's going on when you hear me? Ha! If you hadn't killed Dongshu, the Jia family wouldn't have been like this now. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. How do you feel? We are the ones from the countryside. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. How do you feel that we are the ones from the countryside? Qin Huairu didn't speak again when she saw her mother-in-law's expression. Feeling wronged and resentful in my heart. This foolish mother-in-law will talk to her dead husband about herself whenever she feels a little uncomfortable. But over time she doesn't care anymore. Although Qin Huairu didn't speak again, she had a strong expectation in her heart. Such a big family, and even the entire family. There should be quite a few children among them, right? At least one has good looks, if you're interested, that would be great. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law each had their own thoughts and looked straight at the entrance of the courtyard across from them. Not long after, the news of someone returning from the opposite courtyard spread throughout the entire courtyard. Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, and Grandpa 3 came to the gate again and looked across from each other. Su Damao, Silly Zhu and others also ran out again. They looked at the few little guys across the street who were moving things, their eyes full of surprise. Oh my goodness! It's indeed a wealthy family. The clothes these children wear are so good. The boy is sturdy, and those two little girls are also white and pure. Their temperament is really good. Yen Bugue said in surprise. As a teacher, he could tell at a glance that those children were extraordinary. Uncle San has said so. Those children live lives that we can't even imagine. Is this really a family member moving over? And it's from the countryside. What kind of family is it? Those three little boys are about the same age as Bang Ji, but they are developing better than Bang Ji, clearly more than a head higher. Others began to discuss, their eyes filled with a strong look of envy. Can you watch it, hiss? People who fill the courtyard with birds have wider and wider eyes, and their mouths are about to fall to the ground, inhaling continuously. Because, there are many things that people are envious of in the things that the children across the street are carrying. Do they still have such good glass? Wait, then. Is that a radio? Oh my goodness. Bicycles. Ah. 2, 3, 4. And those big and small bags, what's inside? Look, is one of the kids wearing a watch on his hand? All the people in the courtyard were filled with birds, their brains roaring and their bodies trembling. The things that those children across the street are carrying are simply breathtaking. One by one, envy, jealousy, hatred. Glass and radio, forget about the packages and boxes that they can't see. The most enviable thing, it was the family across from them who suddenly showed them 4 bicycles. You know, bicycles of this era, even if you have money, you can't buy them. Not only do we need money, we also need a bicycle ticket. And their courtyard here doesn't even have a bicycle yet. Don't be on their side, for cars can be moved out with just one move. How can this not make people envious, jealous, and resentful? And one of those children also has a watch, while the other few are wearing bright and stylish clothes. They have a great temperament. For them, such a family cannot be described simply. It's simply amazing, the cow has gone up to the sky. Even the first, second, and third officials in charge, their eyes turned red. After waiting for about half an hour, no one has left during this period. The people they see are all foolish, most of the things that the children across the street moved into the yard didn't have. And at this point, when the 3 little boys across from each other were carrying the last item, they dropped a square box of similar length and width. And those children didn't find the dropped boxes. The people on this side of the courtyard with poultry-filled houses saw this and waited for a while, but the few children did not come out. Everyone looked straight at the opened box, and after seeing it clearly, their eyes widened. Inside that box there is a big piece of pork in a bag. I still lost some money and came out. There are still some things at the bottom of the box that are not very clear to see. And all of this, those children didn't even notice that the box had fallen. Should we go and remind them? By the way, give them a good impression. Although Su Dumao was jealous, he was the first one to say so at this moment. Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, and Grandpa 3 stared straight at the already opened box, silent. I don't know what they're thinking. I think Su Dumao is right. That family must have a big background. If you leave a good impression, maybe you can find them when you need help. But that's meat. It looks like it weighs 2 pounds. Is this family so luxurious? Your eyes only pay attention to that piece of meat. That money looks like it's worth several tens of dollars. I don't even know how much pork it's enough to buy. Everyone was discussing and didn't know what to do for a while. It's the first time they've seen so much meat and money, just casually packed into a box. In a group of people, Jia Zhang and Qin Huiru's eyes are starting to light up. They both breathed a little too quickly, their eyes shining like never before. And at this point, Bang Ji's eyes turned red as he looked at Jia Zhang's hand and shouted, "Grandma, Grandma, meat, I want to eat meat." There's still money there, you can buy a lot of meat. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Siheyuan Thieves Saint and Steals Things. Don't. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Siheyuan Thieves Saint and Steals Things. Shameless. As soon as Jia Zhang heard his grandson's words, he immediately came to his senses. Yeah. How can I just sit there and do nothing? That's just plain meat and plain money. With such a large family background, I'm afraid I won't be discovered even if I lose a box. Don't move at this moment, when will you move? Jia Zhang stared at the box that had already been opened and then looked at the stick meme next to him, which was drooling. Stick meme, do you want to eat meat, right? Seeing my grandson nodding wildly, she pointed to the box outside the opposite yard and urged, then go over and bring the meat and money over. Grandma will make meat for you and buy you keys. By the way. And that box, it's not easy to see at first glance. Maybe it'll sell for a lot of money then. When everyone heard Jia Zhang's words, they frowned. This old lady really doesn't have anyone left. In front of so many people, teach your grandson to take someone else's things. Are you still speaking so confidently? I haven't waited for them to speak yet. Qin Huairu on the side couldn't help it anymore. This foolish woman has taught her grandson like this. That household is not simple at first glance, and it is still defined by family. She had seen many good things before. Don't worry about food and drink, it depends on whether anyone in that family can take a liking to themselves. If someone in that family really takes a liking to me, wouldn't it be a bad thing to be caught doing this? That won't work. Qin Huairu made a decision and quickly dissuaded, Mom, isn't it good to do this? Anyway. Is that someone else's thing, or is it at the doorstep? We can't do this. But when she finished speaking, Jia Zhang's old face was full of resentment, and he angrily cursed, You shut up. You killed Dongshu, can you still starve the whole family to death? Qin Huairu, if you were useful, you wouldn't let the Jia family rely on others for assistance. There's no place for you to speak here. Next, she turned her head and smiled at Kanji, saying, Kanji, go, go. Bring back that box, meat, and all that money. Grandma guarantees that you can eat meat every day. Qin Huairu had no idea how to refute, feeling extremely aggrieved in her heart. How could this foolish mother-in-law teach her son not to talk, but saying so would be so despicable of her. Su Dumao sneered beside him and said, As children, why is there such a big difference? Look at other people's houses, how well-behaved and sensible they are. You're going to teach them how to become thieves saints. Are you a mother-in-law who can teach children how to steal things? Can't you teach something good? Upon hearing these words, Jia Zhang immediately became unhappy and said, Su Dumao, what do you understand? Don't talk cold words there, shut up. Are you the only one who talks a lot of nonsense? Lazy to talk nonsense, she looked at Bang Ji and urged, Bang Ji, go and get it back. Upon hearing these words, Bang Ji immediately smiled and said, Okay, Grandma. I want the meat, money, and that box. I'll go get it now. Excited heart, trembling hands, he felt like his soles were smeared with oil and rushed out with a whoosh. Under the gaze of everyone, Bang Ji ran to the entrance of the opposite yard and packed the pork and all the money back into the box. He is fast and skillful. It's just a little bit of work, he just packed everything up. The box is very heavy. With satisfaction, Bang Ji ran back to the yard and said, Grandma, bring it back. Let's go back and make some meat to eat. Upon seeing it, Jia Zhang's old face smiled like blooming chrysanthemum hair and said happily, Oh, my great-grandson. Walk, go back. Grandma will make meat for you. Speaking, she picked up the box in Bang Ji's hand, smiled uncontrollably, and turned back to the courtyard. Bang Ji quickly followed up. Qin Huairu watched the crowd at the scene and quickly followed them back. If you don't eat meat actively, then it's a problem. After this family leaves, the others looked at each other, looking at the courtyard across from them, and then at the Jia and Zhang families. This family is really shameless. They take other people's things as they please, and they are so brazen. That family is obviously not an ordinary family. I don't want to go into this muddy water. If I'm caught, it's nothing to do with me. Mrs. Jia is so bad to the bone, that meme is almost being trained by her to become a thief saint. If I had to say. This is all idiots' habit. Many people turned their gaze to silly Zhu, their faces full of contempt. Upon hearing these words, He Yuzhu immediately became unhappy and said, What's wrong? I'm willing to steal the meme. Can you manage it? Upon hearing these words, everyone fell silent for a moment. All right, go back. Grandpa E glared at everyone and left with a cold snort. Second grandpa, third grandpa just stayed a little longer and headed back towards the yard. The people in the courtyard dispersed one by one, only Su Damao remained at the door, looking at the courtyard across from him, unsure of what he was thinking. In the opposite courtyard, a few little guys have arranged their things neatly and tidied up the yard and room. Xiao Haoqing clicked on the item and shouted with wide eyes, "Oh no, we seem to have moved one less thing. Grandpa's box, it's gone." Chapter 5 Comprehensive Update. Who, kneel down and beg everyone for flower evaluation tickets to support. Please everyone, the new book relies on this data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Requesting boxes, faces full of birds in a courtyard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Requesting boxes. The face of poultry in the courtyard. Xiao Ming and Xiao Lei heard this. Brother, what are you saying? We haven't taken the box that Grandpa has been keeping. It shouldn't be. When I was moving just now, I also checked what I had taken, and we lifted it together in the end. They scratched their heads and said one sentence after another. Xiao Hao listened to his two younger brothers and clapped his hands, saying, "That should have fallen off, so you shouldn't be lazy." Just now, in order not to let the two younger sisters suffer, the three of them decided to move in the last few things together. As a result, the box that Grandpa usually cares about is missing. Listen to Grandpa, that's all his old memories and experiences inside. If it gets lost, Grandpa has a high chance of beating them up. They have seen Grandpa beat up their father and other uncles. Although Xiao Hao was young, his mind far surpassed that of his peers. He quickly calmed down and said, "Let's go out and look, it's right at the door. It shouldn't be missing." After speaking, he walked towards the door. And Xiao Lei and Xiao Ming picked up Xiao Xian one by one, and chased after Xiao Jiao the other. Arriving outside the yard, a few little guys searched all the way, but didn't see the box. Xiao Hao suddenly felt a headache and frowned. Oh no. Someone must have taken it away. It wasn't long before someone picked up Grandpa's box. Why are these people so lacking in quality? Xiao Ming and Xiao Lei looked at each other. They were going to suffer. Xiao Hao glanced around and then saw Su Damao at the entrance of the courtyard across from him. There's someone on the other side, let's go ask. Meanwhile, Su Damao was originally thinking about the Jia family picking up boxes before. Next, he noticed that the few children who had been moving things before were walking towards this side. This is when the owner discovered something was lost. Good opportunity. Did Jia Zhang, that crazy woman, still curse herself before? See if labor and management don't trick you to death. Not long ago, Xiao Hao brought his younger brother and sister to the entrance of the courtyard here and looked at Su Damao, asking, "Uncle, did you just see a black box at the entrance over there?" "That's my grandfather's box. If you have seen it, uncle, please tell us who took it." Upon hearing this, Su Damao smiled warmly and said, "Children, you found the right person. I really saw someone take your box. It's right in our courtyard, called Banggeng. He's putting it inside right now." Xiao Hao's eyes lit up and he hurriedly said, "Uncle, really? If you know, please take us on a trip. That box is very important to my grandfather." Upon hearing these words, Su Damao felt even happier in his heart. Very important. That's a good relationship. I'm afraid it's not important. Now Grandma Jia, you're going to suffer. Labor and management can be a good person for free today. If we can leave a good impression on these children, maybe we can establish a good relationship with this wealthy family. You have definitely earned it. Su Damao's smile increased and he hurriedly said, okay, uncle will take you there. Come with me. The intermediate people's court, Jia Zhang opened the box he had picked up before and saw that there were still dozens of yuan worth of pork inside. His eyes widened and he said, "Developed, developed. These meat and money have been enough for our Jia family to eat for a long time." Qin Huairu looked at her mother-in-law with some concern. "Although I did crave it myself, it's from the big family across the street." After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Mom, we just took someone else's box like this. Is there nothing wrong?" Upon hearing this, Jia Zhang suddenly became unhappy and said, "What can I do for you? A family that can easily afford 4 bicycles would be short of money and meat. Besides, our Jia family hasn't eaten meat for a long time. Since they were picked up by Banggeng, it's ours." Banggeng grabbed the meat and pulled at Jia Zhang, shouting, "Grandma, Grandma, I want to eat meat. Make me some meat quickly." Upon hearing this, Jia Zhang wiped her saliva with a smile and said, Okay, Grandma will make meat for you. But at this moment, everyone, come and take a look. The owner is here. Come on, come and take a look. A shout came in. Upon hearing the sound, Qin Huairu was surprised and her face was full of anxiety. Who else is there besides Su Damao in that voice? Has the owner arrived? Jia Zhang was also stunned for a moment, then gritted her teeth in resentment and said, "Damn Su Damao, he deserves to be extinct." Next, she hurriedly looked at Bang Yu and said, "Hurry up, hide these things. They can't know." Stick memes are also very clever. He stuffed the money back into the box and ran into the house to hide it. Jia Zhang ran out of the house and looked at Su Damao, who was carrying the children from the opposite yard before. With an angry expression on his face, he said, "Su Damao, what do you mean by this?" Su Damao remained silent and retreated to the side with a sneer. Xiao Hao glanced around the yard, frowned slightly, and then approached to inquire, "Grandma, is the stick meme from your family?" Next, he pointed to Su Damao and said, "Just now this uncle said he took my grandfather's box. Please ask him to return the box." 6 chapters. 6 chapters have been updated directly. Kneeling down and begging for everyone's support in flower evaluation tickets. Please everyone, the new book relies on this data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Stealing and refusing to admit. The upper beam is not straight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Stealing and refusing to admit. The upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. Meanwhile, Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, and Grandpa 3 arrived with their respective spouses, as well as Silly Zhu and other people from the courtyard. They have just arrived at the courtyard. His gaze fell on Xiao Hao and the 2 little ones holding his sister. At first glance, the big guy understands now. The grandson and granddaughter of the house across the street found the box lost and came knocking on it. These children have discovered it. Take a look at how handsome and polite their children are, and then take a look at their memes. Without comparison, there is no harm. Stop talking, otherwise that poisonous old lady might go crazy again. See what she does. Many people are whispering and planning to eat melons. When Jia Zhang saw that everyone from the courtyard had arrived, she didn't take it seriously and said arrogantly, "Are you talking about stick memes? That's my grandson." "But what are you saying?" Next, she pointed fiercely at Xiao Hao and said in a sharp voice, "What evidence do you have about my stick meme and your box?" "Okay, you little brat, just talking so recklessly. Do you have any manners? How did your adults teach you?" The people in the courtyard at the scene were dumbfounded when they heard Jia Zhang's words. Why should this poisonous old lady just play around? Take it and forget it, it's starting to poison your mouth. Xiao Ming glanced at the other people in the courtyard at the scene, but his innocent face showed a solemn expression. Big brother, I heard them all say just now, it must be that old lady's stick who took grandpa's box. Upon hearing these words, Xiao'an nodded slightly and looked at Jia Zhang with sharp eyes. The old man's appearance and what he said were clearly just bluffing. But at this point, Xiao Lei, who was impatient on the side, stopped working and lowered his voice, still feeling a bit immature. That's my grandfather's thing, you better give it back to us. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. As soon as these words were spoken, the people around the courtyard were all shocked. These little guys, it's not easy. Grandpa E muttered with a somewhat solemn expression. Grandpa 2 and Grandpa 3 exchanged a glance and nodded in agreement. They can certainly see it, the three little boys had an extraordinary temperament, with sharp tones in their speech. Facing the Jia and Zhang families, no fear at all. Heart nature far surpasses that of children of the same age. Compared to the stick meme product, these three of them completely crushed me. Upon hearing Xiao Lei's words, Jia Zhang glared fiercely and stomped his foot angrily. Ah! Are you threatening me, this old lady? Do you still bear the consequences? Who are you scaring? I said I didn't take it, but I didn't take it. Why are you still clinging on and not leaving? Get out of here now. Xiao Lei looked at the arrogant Jia Zhang family and gritted his teeth, you. Before he could finish speaking, Xiao'an stopped him and continued with a smile on his face, saying, Grandma, please ask your family to return the box. This is good for us all, what do you think? Jia Zhang sneered and pointed at Xiao'an and the others, saying, I don't know what box it is. You can go back where you came from. I don't have the box you mentioned here. My family's meme is honest and straightforward, where are you like a few uneducated kids? Roll on, roll on. Seeing someone not leaving, her old face turned fierce as she glared and cursed, hey. You don't understand human language, do you? Let me be honest with you, even if it's my family's meme, what would happen? Do you have any evidence? I picked up my meme based on my abilities, why do I have to pay it back? Coincidentally, the stick meme came out and they looked at Xiao'an and said proudly, my grandmother was right. She picked it up with her skills, why did she return it to you? Xiao'an, Xiao Ming, and Xiao Lei squinted their eyes, with a hint of anger between their eyebrows. This old man, a scoundrel. Are you still speaking so confidently? And that child who is about the same age as himself is just a meme. What kind of family is it that teaches such children? Xiao Lei was already quite impatient, and when he heard the stick meme, he couldn't help but say, what are you saying? I took my grandfather's box, did you still manage it? The stick meme became enthusiastic and made a face, saying, a little rough, how about it? How about it? Jia Zhang's eyes were cold and he glared, why are you still staying at my doorstep? Get out of here. If you don't have it, then you won't give it even if you have it. Her appearance, Xiao Jiao and Xiao Xian, who were held by Xiao Ming and Xiao Lei, were infuriated. Brother, this grandmother is really bad. Bad people, despicable bad people. The two little ones pouted in a milky voice, their eyes turning red with anger, as if they were about to cry. Xiao Lei and Xiao Ming quickly comforted their two sisters, but their eyes were fixed on Jia and Zhang. Xiao Hao's eyes were sharp, he didn't look at Jia Zhang, but squinted at Banggeng. You took the box, didn't you? Asked in a slightly green but deep voice. Upon hearing this, Banggeng proudly blurted out, no, I didn't take it, I picked it up. My grandmother told me that I picked it up on my own, there's no need to return it. Upon hearing these words, Xiao Hao suddenly nodded and chuckled lightly, okay, very good. Although he was laughing, his voice became indifferent. Next, he turned around and said, let's go. After speaking, Xiao Hao left with the still angry Xiao Ming, Xiao Lei, and two sisters who were so angry that they were about to cry. 7 chapters presented. The author is striving to become more popular, kneeling down to everyone's support in flower evaluation tickets. Please everyone, Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Observing others' children's understanding and differences. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 8. Look at others. Children are sensible, the difference is too big. On site, Jia Zhang watched as Xiao Hao and his younger siblings left, pointing at them and scolding, a few little things, hurry up. You're still scaring me, who are you guys? Next, she looked at Su Dumao and said, you're good, Su Dumao. You're eating inside out, right? No wonder you are destined to be extinct. Upon hearing these words, Su Dumao gritted his teeth in anger. But I also feel speechless in my heart. Those kids just left like this. The others looked at the few children who had walked away, then at Jia Zhang. Those children were scared away by you, don't you worry about their adults. The box belongs to their grandfather, are you really not planning to return it to him? A family member has taken over a courtyard house, there must be quite a few people. Do you really want the Jia family to do this? Many people spoke up and began to discuss. If those people just forget about it, it will make them envious. The box that the Jia family is carrying contains 1 or 2 kilograms of meat, and there are also dozens of yuan. Upon hearing many people's comments, Jia Zhang sneered coldly and said, oh, you all have become good people today. Do you really think I don't know your character? Walk around, don't block at my doorstep. You dare not take it, my stick meme has been picked up and it belongs to us. Don't think about playing with meat and money. Walk, walk, don't make me scold you. Everyone saw the way Grandma Jia was about to bite, gritting her teeth, but left one after another. They don't want to hear this vicious and obscene slut from this shrew. Outside the courtyard, Xiao Lei and Xiao Ming looked at Xiao Hao in front of them with anger on their faces. Growing so big, it's the first time I've seen such an disrespectful old man, such a shameless child of the same age. Big brother, surprisingly, it's the grandson of that old man who took Grandpa's box. Let's just forget about it. What a despicable thing. That old man and her grandson are really not a good thing. They both gritted their teeth and spoke up, furious. Humph. It's so annoying. Brother, what should we do? Xian Xian and Jiao Jiao spoke with a milky voice, pursed their small mouths, and their eyes were still red. Xiao Hao turned around and looked at his younger brother and sister behind him, chuckling lightly and saying, it's okay, we don't cause trouble, but we're not afraid of anything. I already know where the box is now, it's not urgent. Next, he squinted his eyes and looked inside the courtyard, his voice indifferent as he said, I'll go find Grandpa, you guys go back first. When Grandpa comes back, they'll be dead. Xiao Lei and Xiao Ming nodded and watched as Xiao Hao left with a smile. That family really doesn't know the superiority and inferiority of heaven and earth. If Grandpa comes back, that's not as easy to talk to as they are. Meanwhile, intermediate court. Jia Zhang took out the meat from the previous box from the house, and her saliva was almost flowing all over the floor. She said happily, stick meme, Grandma will make meat for you now. Qin Huairu watched from the side, with a complex expression on her face. She wants to eat meat, but she is worried that it will damage the relationship between the two families. After all, if someone in that family values themselves, they can fly up to the branch and become a phoenix, but this foolish mother-in-law doesn't take it seriously at all. That has nothing to do with oneself. Outside, everyone has almost walked. Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, Grandpa 3, and their spouse have not left. They saw Jia Zhang take out the box, take out the pork inside, and even put dozens of yuan in his pocket. It's really enviable. Jia Pazi, I think you should return the things. That big family seems to be quite complicated. Grandpa E frowned and advised. You're right, those children just now had a very good upbringing and temperament, and their family might have a lot of connections. You guys should give it back to him. This kind of thing can't be taken casually. Second grandpa and third grandpa also spoke up to dissuade. They originally wanted to share some points, but who made them in charge? The courtyard across from us is clearly a big family, being able to cultivate such excellent children by comparison, the stick meme has no eyes at all. And the adults in the opposite courtyard, obviously not to mention it. Upon hearing the words of several masters, Jia Zhang scolded Qin Huairu, wash the meat. Waiting for my daughter-in-law to wash the meat, she looked outside and cursed, you shameless ones dare not take it. Now, are you asking us to return the things? Can't you see how good others are? What kind of person are you pretending to be? Get lost, don't get in the way. The three uncles and three aunties couldn't seem to listen at all, and Jia Zhang, who was still cursing, they looked at each other with an unpleasant expression on their faces. If you don't listen well and still curse. Humph, let's not worry, do you like to listen or not? If something happens, it's up to you. Grandpa E snorted coldly. Next, he left unhappy with the other two uncles and aunties. Jia Zhang looked at them and stomped his feet, cursing, hey. E Zhonghai, who are you cursing? No wonder you don't have any children or daughters, you deserve it. Next, she saw Qin Huairu washing the meat and exclaimed with joy, Tisk, such a big piece of meat is enough to eat for a long time. My great joke, Grandma will make meat for you now. Not far away, the three uncles and aunties turned black as they listened to Jia Zhang's happy laughter. Mrs. Jia really doesn't listen to what she says, and her mouth is very poisonous. It's better not to cause any big trouble, otherwise it will implicate them. It will be disastrous. Chapter 8. The author is working hard to become more popular, kneeling down to ask everyone for flower evaluation votes to support. The new book relies on this data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Invite Mr. Xiao into the Engineering Institute, facing a bird. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Please ask Mr. Xiao to enter the Engineering Institute. Is there a beast on the opposite side? Grandpa Yi's face looks a bit unpleasant. After all, I am in charge of the Intermediate People's Court, and if something happens, I have to handle it myself. That's why I used to speak up and dissuade Mrs. Jia before. He doesn't want this matter to be escalated. But Mrs. Jia couldn't listen and was too lazy to bother anymore. Uncle Air and Grandpa San don't have much thought. Just if I had known that, they should just take some of it, even if they don't want pork, it's okay to take some money alone. Jia Pazi is now preparing to make meat, and all the money has been carried into her pocket. If you ask, I really can't pull this face off. A few people each returned to their own yard with their own thoughts. On the other side, Xiao Anshan, his sons, and Li Zhengtao had enough to eat and drink. Several people have a smile on their faces. After this meal, everyone chatted happily. Everyone stood up and planned to leave. Li Zhengtao leaned over to Xiao Anshan and sincerely said, Brother Xiao, you don't even have a job, why don't you come to our engineering institute? I often talk to the leaders in the hospital about you, and they all want me to invite you over. Not only do you have extremely high expertise in engineering, but you are also proficient in medicine, machinery, construction, and other fields, making it easy for you to go anywhere. I want to win you over to our engineering institute, Brother Xiao. Do you want to consider it? Upon hearing this, Xiao Anshan shook his head and said, You don't have this idea. I'm old and too lazy to bother anymore. I just want to spend my old age peacefully. Forget about this matter. Li Zhengtao sighed in his heart when he heard the words of his former teacher. This person in front of me, it can be said that he is his own enlightenment teacher. If it weren't for Xiao Anshan, he is probably still an ordinary person with nothing to do and better family conditions. But since everyone has said so, we can't force it anymore. Li Zhengtao nodded and chuckled lightly, all right then, brother Xiao. But it's also. Your sons are all so outstanding, and you have grandchildren. It's time to enjoy a peaceful life. He smiled and said a few words. The group walked out of the restaurant entrance. At this very moment, Grandpa. A call came from afar. Everyone looked at them. I saw Xiao Hao hurriedly running towards this side. Upon seeing this, Xiao Anshan looked at Xiao Hao running towards him and smiled. Hao, what's wrong? Others also cast puzzled glances. This little guy seems quite anxious. Xiao Hao looked up at Xiao Anshan with a hint of displeasure on his face and said, Grandpa, someone is stealing from our house. Xiao Anshan was taken aback, but as soon as he arrived, he was robbed. Xiao Zhong, Xiao Min, Xiao Jian's face suddenly looked ugly, with a hint of anger on it. And at this point, Li Zhengtao walked out and frowned, saying, Who is so bold? Stealing things in broad daylight. Brother Xiao, I can help. I want to see who's so bold. Xiao Anshan shook his head and chuckled lightly, Oh, you're the director of the Engineering Institute. There's no need to bother you with this matter. I'll do it myself, you go back and get busy first. Upon hearing this, Li Zhengtao asked the teacher to personally handle it. Who stole it? I'm afraid it would be disastrous. He knows Xiao Anshan's temper, and the other party doesn't need help. No matter how much he says, it's useless. Li Zhengtao said a few words before leaving. After waiting for someone to leave, Xiao Anshan's face showed no signs of joy or anger, and he said, Let's go back and talk about it. After speaking, he returned with his son and grandson Xiao Hao towards the direction of the courtyard he had moved back to. Returning to the courtyard, Xiao Anshan called for his grandchildren. Stealing things in broad daylight. Did you steal from their Xiao family? Xiao Ming and Xiao Lei ran out with their two younger sisters. Grandpa, you finally came back. Someone stole our things. Yes. It's in the opposite yard, and my sister almost cried in anger. They spoke one after another, their youthful and heroic faces full of displeasure. Grandpa, they are all bad people. Xian Xian and Jiao Jiao pouted, revealing a hint of anger on their cute faces. Upon hearing this, Xiao Anshan doted and touched the heads of his two granddaughters, then looked at them and said, What's going on? Are people from the opposite yard coming to steal things from us? With doubts, he wants to understand the situation clearly. A few grandchildren are at home. Are you still openly coming over to steal? Are these people so arrogant? Xiao Hao glanced at Xiao Ming and Xiao Lei behind him, then scratched his head and said, Grandpa, when we were moving things before, your box fell out. When we went out to search, it disappeared and was taken away by someone. Then I asked an uncle named Su Damao, and he told us that it was taken by someone in their yard. It seems like. It's called stick meme. Next, he showed a look of anger on his face and continued, My younger siblings and I went over to ask for boxes, but they didn't give them. They said they found it and it's theirs. How infuriating. Upon hearing his grandson's words, Xiao Anshan roughly understood what was going on. When grandchildren are moving things, I accidentally dropped my box outside. And then someone took it. Can you hear what my grandson said later? Xiao Anshan was stunned for a moment, then frowned. Myself, this is the opposite side. Surprisingly, there are those few birds and beasts in the courtyard full of birds. The first day of chapter 9 has arrived. The author is working hard to become more popular, kneeling down to ask everyone for flower evaluation votes to support. Please everyone, the new book relies on this data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. After taking my things, they still managed to hide. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 10. Can they still avoid taking my things? Xiao Anshan frowned tightly. I have never thought of traveling to this world in all these years. After hearing what Sun Tzu said about Su Damao and the stick meme, he just realized that this is a world full of birds in a courtyard house. Across from the courtyard where I moved in, happened to be the group of beasts in the courtyard. That's not surprising enough, then, after all the stick meme is known as the thief saint and deserves its reputation. And his grandmother is known as the most venomous Jiazhang. Mom is even more of a vampire. There's not a good thing in that courtyard. For a group of animals across from home, Xiao Anshan doesn't care. But now did the meme of robbing the holy wand provoke me. Before coming, I casually tidied up and found pork and a few dozen yuan in the box. These are nothing. I can't even lose a single item at the bottom of the box. Does the Jia family still bully their grandchildren? Seeking death. Xiao Zhong and Xiao Min, when Xiao Jun saw the old man, he remained silent. Dad, let's go get the box back. Is it a meme? Stealing someone else's belongings is still so straightforward. That's what Dad values the most, we can't let them lose it. Let's go. The three of them spoke one after another, with anger on their faces. Seeing a few sons like this, Xiao Anshan interrupted them, unable to see any signs of joy or anger, and said, "What's so urgent? Go and take a look." After speaking, he walked out of his yard and towards the courtyard across from him. Xiao Zhong and his two younger brothers saw this and quickly followed him out. "Big brother, shall we go?" Xiao Lei asked. Xiao Hao glanced at his younger siblings and nodded, "Of course I want to go." The old man and her grandson were so arrogant before, but now that Grandpa has returned, they are ruined. Let's go too." Next, the three brothers followed their two younger sisters out. On the side of the courtyard house, why didn't Uncle Lu Haizhong take the box before he was still feeling depressed? After all, that meat and money are quite a fortune. Did you just pick up a bargain for the Jia family for nothing? Unfortunately, he looked across from the courtyard to see if the family would come over. It doesn't matter if you don't look or tighten it. At first glance I saw Xiao Anshan's family walking towards the courtyard. Lu Haizhong was stunned and then widened his eyes, saying, "Those adults from the children's family have returned. They're coming over." Next, he didn't think much and quickly ran towards the yard. After a moment, Lu Haizhong called out Yi Zhonghai, the first uncle, and Yan Bugui, the third uncle. The three of them looked out at the Xiao Anshan family, who were coming towards the courtyard, and looked at each other. "I'll just say it, that box can't be taken, this family has come over again. Is that box really so important? Isn't it just filled with 1 or 2 pounds of meat and a few tens of yuan? Why don't they refuse to scratch? Nonsense, that's a family. Do you think it's like us?" The three gentlemen began to discuss, each unsure of their own calculations. And at this point, Xiao Anshan also saw Grandpa 1, Grandpa 2, and Grandpa 3 coming out of the door. Seeing these three guys, he felt a little unhappy in his heart. Yi Zhonghai, the eldest son, had no children. After Jia Dongshu's death, he worked tirelessly to match up with Silly Zhu and Qin Widow, occasionally helping Qin Widow in hopes of having someone retire. Uncle Heir's bangs are not to mention, he can join in any excitement and has a dream of becoming an official. Although Uncle Yan Bugui is a teacher, extremely stingy, and very cunning, he likes to calculate everything. Not a good thing. Bringing his son and grandchildren to the outside of the courtyard, Xiao Anshan looked at the three guys in front of him and opened the door to the mountain, saying, "Is the Jia family in your courtyard?" My grandchildren said, "Did they take my things?" Looking at Xiao Anshan in front of me, the three gentlemen forced smiles on their faces, but in their hearts, they stirred up a storm. The old man in front of them, who is older than them, surprisingly, it made them feel a sense of oppression. I didn't take a closer look before, I feel quite shocked upon seeing it now. This old man walks steadily and forcefully, and speaks with full energy. A pair of deep and bright eyes, and a face that is not angry or intimidating. And the temperament is extremely outstanding, far exceeding everyone they have seen. The three middle-aged people behind him had hardened faces and sharp eyes. It's not easy at first glance. The three masters let out a thud in their hearts. This is a tough piece of work. Big brother. Mr. Ayer's bangs were so frightened that he hesitated and couldn't speak fluently. Xiao Anshan frowned and said in a deep voice, "Are they here?" This question, the three gentlemen felt like they were about to break out in a cold sweat. Grandpa E trembled and felt nervous in his heart. This person doesn't seem to be able to afford to offend him. He quickly spoke up and said, "Yes. Yes. I can take you to find them, they are right in the courtyard. But it's not appropriate for so many of you to go in, is it?" After speaking, Yi Zhonghai, Lu Haizhong, and Yan Bugue did not make way. They don't want this group of people to go in, it's not good if things get too big. Xiao Anshan squinted his eyes and said impatiently, "They took my things. Why not bring my son and grandson over to pick them up?" Chapter 10 On the first day. Kneeling down and begging for everyone's support in flower evaluation tickets. Please everyone, the new book relies on this data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.